Holla!
Holla!
Welcome to the Real Housewives of Rewatch. I'm Sue Funk, and I'm here with
Danielle from Brands by Bravo.
author extraordinaire Danielle from Brands by Bravo.
I did. I wrote a children's book. If you haven't seen, it's called H is for Housewives, the ABCs of Bravo. And it's super fun. And it can be for adults or kids, but there's no curse words, as one person
Yeah.
asked me. And I did remove X's for Xanax smoothie because if you do read it to a child, that felt inappropriate.
So what did you put instead?
X is for X Factor. Is the only thing I could think of. Like, and all the ladies
Oh,
have an X Factor.
uh,
It's like the cheese,
yeah,
only actually cheesy one.
it makes sense that like maybe we shouldn't tell children to take a Xanax. Although a lot of children these days are on Xanax. It's a very anxious time.
True, true. But I was like, I could see one parent reading this and then calling it inappropriate. Derek wanted me to get rid of you is for ugly leather pants, but I absolutely refused on that one because he thought
Yeah,
ugly was like a bad word. But I was like, no, no, I can't get rid of ugly.
I mean, it's so subjective. That's what we learned through that. So
Yes, exactly. And it's not like it's a curse word. It's not like actually, I'm not calling a person ugly, I'm calling pants ugly.
didn't those pants end up making like tons of money?
Probably. They weren't that ugly. I've seen far worse
No,
outfits on this show.
that's true. I started listening to Brian Moylan's book. I don't listen to books on tape like ever or like audiobooks, whatever you call it these days, you crazy kids. I like listened to a book on tape once while I was driving and almost fell asleep. And I was like, oh, I should never listen to these. These are like, I don't know, a sleeping pill for me. But I was like, oh, like Spotify was like, here you go. But I bring it up because it talks about how Cindy Barshop got on the Housewives.
Oh,
In the very first chapter, he talks to her and she said that she went to Ramona's apartment to film like a trial thing. And Ramona literally would not speak to her.
yep. Sounds about right.
Like just ignored her. Like anytime she tried to interact with her, would turn her face the other way.
Oh,
And so, but she got stuck in the elevator with the producer and started randomly doing lines from Natural Born Killers. And they used that as her audition, and that's how she got it. And she also admitted the whole reason she got it was because she was on like one other reality show and her like sales skyrocketed. So she was like, what's the most like popular reality show right now? Get me on it. And that's how she even got her foot in the door as a publicist, got her in.
so interesting. Not surprising as we knew that was all she wanted to do was hack her stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, also not surprising that Ramona did not look at her.
But yeah, I'm on chapter 2 so far. It's really interesting and good. It's great to motivate you to get cleaning done because I really needed that. Uh,
I like it. Well, come back and share more because I did not read his book. Is, is that the one that's not all diamonds and rosé?
that's what I thought it was. It's a very similar font, but it's what is it called? I literally was just listening to it, guys. This is what happens when you don't read. I don't know. The Housewives, the real story behind the Real Housewives.
I feel like I read that and I don't even remember that info about Cindy. Or I tried to read it and I feel like I couldn't get into it. I don't remember.
I really like Brian Moylan, so that made it very easy. Like I was like, oh, this is really like fun to follow him reading it. I will say it was very interesting. He like talks about how OC started again, all in like the first chapter. And it was basically like it was supposed to be an improv, like a funny little sketch. And then it just and Gina Kehoe was in it from the very start.
Yes, that I knew. That I know. So yeah, no, it's crazy to think we're here now at a thing called BravoCon.
I know.
It's
He does talk
wild.
about BravoCon. It's an interesting point when he released this. I think it was 2019 or 2020. I don't know. But he does one this chapter 2 is Bravo, Bravo, fucking Bravo. So
I
it
love it.
wasn't too long ago.
So we're recapping season 5, episode 10, which I did not write down the name of the episode.
Ooh, me neither.
All
Should
right,
we?
that's okay. That's okay. We'll put it
It's
in the title.
yeah, I'll put it in there. It's a good episode. I'm excited to jump in. They start. It's the Christmas episode. It's one of the first Christmas episodes of Roni, and it starts with the windows on Fifth Avenue. And I wanted to ask you, did you go there when you were growing up? Like when you were little, did you line up to see the Christmas windows?
I know I've been there, but I don't have a memory of it being like a thing. We did go see the tree often,
Hmm.
which is funny. Being a Jewish family, we would go to the tree and then we would go to Chinatown and get dinner in Chinatown. I don't know if we'd go to the windows. I don't
I would
remember.
always line up at the windows. I remember as a little kid, just like it was like a glacially paced line, and the windows were cool. But I just remember being like, when do we get the hot chocolate and when do I pee? Like it was just like a very long, arduous time, but like it was worth it. But we start with the regroup of Sonia's branding.
Oh my God.
And yeah,
Which
what
is a
I
main focus of this episode.
and it's a tough one. Heather is shocked because Sonia decides to bring Ramona.
What was she? We know what she was thinking. She was thinking, this will make good TV.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure somebody suggested that she bring Ramona, but it's just tough because now it's not just James Bernard, who we like learned last episode is like absolutely like one of these like amazing branding gurus. But then there's Jean Andrea Di Stefano is a photographer that they bring who doesn't even get to speak in the meeting on camera. And this guy, I looked up his website. It's Gadi Di Stefano or GAD Stefano .com, and his photography is amazing. He's shot with Beyonce, Kristen Chenoweth, Brooke Shields, Christy Brinkley, like all of these amazing models and superstars. And the photography is beautiful. And like this guy has this moment on the show and doesn't say a fucking word because Ramona has to critique the font. Like,
So you know what got me thinking? So Sonia is obsessed with having a girl in her logo. And I was like, was this the Sard and Cheater brand? Like, how was no one saying like, this looks really similar to Skinny Girl with Bethany and having a girl in her logo? And it also does not surprise me that Heather has actual legitimate people that she's bringing in to help Sonia because Heather is legit. She's annoying, but she is legitimate in her success in businesses, at least at this time, and like connections.
oh, for sure. And Sonia is like, basically, we find out later that Sonia very much thinks that she's a client of Heather's when Heather's like, I'm just doing this all for free. Like, clients
Yeah.
give me millions.
But
Like,
like, did you think when you started looking at the woman, were you like, why do you have a woman in your logo like the skinny
no, I thought that
girl?
was a really good point that it was a cheetah brand.
Yeah, like
Like,
that's not the first time. And while I understand her not loving the creative these men put forward, it is a little boring. Like work within that, like they're correct, but it does need a little oomph.
I think what they're missing is that it's going to be a standout like logo and you're going to put something shocking behind it,
Yes,
like a half-dressed man holding a toaster oven,
yes.
which to me, what excellent marketing. I'm buying that toaster.
Yeah, well, I don't know if this happens in this first meeting. I think it happens in the second one when they're like, you're not an appliance company.
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
selling people are buying this because your name is on it. So yeah, the meeting is a disaster. Ramona starts taking calls during the meeting.
Doesn't leave the room, sits at the table talking to somebody else. I don't know how a human does that.
Nope. James says to Ramona at one point, can you be like, you have to be quiet for 1 second. And I was like, oh, she probably did not like that.
Ramona also accuses them of steamrolling Sonia and not listening to her opinion, which I don't think is true. I think they're like, she just doesn't even know what her opinion is.
Yes, she has no idea what her opinion is. And we see this time and time again in later seasons with Sonia and business. And it's like, she is not clear with what she wants, with what she's trying to put out. Like she just is scattered. She also looked like kind of out of it in this scene. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, she looked a little Holly Golightly, and not in like the, oh, she was like Audrey Hepburn way. It was like the real unlikely, like after the party, not doing great.
Yeah, like she looked, I don't want to infer anything, but her eyes were a little half open.
I mean, I could also very much see her and Ramona having a business lunch, quote unquote, with some booze before this, and then, let's shoot this scene and show Heather who really knows about business.
No,
It
that's
was a
very
business off.
much. Yeah, it was. And to me, um, Heather knows more about this stuff than Ramona. I don't think Ramona's like a bad business person. I just think Heather, when it comes to branding and all of that, because we know Ramona didn't properly brand True
Her
Faith and
true, yeah, exactly. I think Ramona's very business savvy. I don't think she understands marketing, and I think a lot of people just think they know marketing. And marketing is more than just a feeling. It's research, it's understanding demographics, it's understanding what's going on in that
yeah,
genre at the
that was
moment.
my
And like,
bachelor's degree is in
yeah,
marketing.
like mine was in creative writing. So
But you
I just
probably,
made up the words.
I would say, you know a lot more about it than I do now. I'm out of the game. But yes, it's not
Yeah.
just like this is a good idea, and it does have to be cohesive. And yeah, she's just not taking the tips, and it's a disaster meeting.
It is. And I just feel really bad for Heather, which I didn't expect. But she's in a rough spot. And then we go to Ramona at Le Cirque with a bottle of Chateau Margaux. Um, she and Mario invested in this, and it is now 14K per bottle. And
No,
they bought a
fourteen
case
hundred,
of 14,
fourteen
14,
hundred, not
of
14,000,
1400,000.
1400.
Still,
No,
how
that is the
much
most
would you spend on wine?
that would be a year's worth of wine for me for $1,400. That's why would any wine cost that much money? And why would anyone drink that?
It would cost a lot because of the year, the varietal that year, like the way the weather was.
It's
If it
horseshit
like
to
was
me.
like better than ever. But the thing is that like cork is a faulty mechanism of storing wine, which is where you get Mario being like anally retentive, handing this wine over to the sommelier at Le Cirque or the hostess. I don't know who they're handing this bottle off to, but he's just like, go so slow because this cork will disintegrate. And I'm just like, then fucking serve it in your home. Don't put this on somebody else. Like,
I
this is
just
Le Cirque. I'm sure they have their own fabulous bottles that you could get. Like,
that amount of money on a bottle of wine is probably one of the dumbest ways to spend your money, to literally drink. And they're not even drinking solo themselves $1,400 worth. They're sharing it.
well, I
So
mean, wine's meant to be shared.
not for $1,400, that bottle's, and I'm probably going to save my pee as it comes out of me to get my money's worth or something. Like, well, I'm sorry, to piss away literally $1,400. I cannot fathom that. I
Well,
just,
when they bought it, it wasn't that much. So it appreciated in value
that
because,
makes less sense to me, that alcohol. I understand it's like a thing, but like it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I can't understand fancy wines like that.
I mean, with all that said, of me explaining it and everything, I've had bottles of wine. When I went to Argentina, I had bottles of wine that were like $10,000 next to a bottle that was like maybe $20. Both decent wines.
That's what
Both
I
very
mean.
cool.
You
Like, there's nothing
literally,
that's going to be life changing, like, in my opinion.
no, it's
Now,
not
it
like a
has a
leather
very
purse.
distinct taste bud, maybe.
No, and it's not like a leather purse that I'm investing and will have for the rest of my life and will spend the money on versus like a fake thing from Forever 21 that's maybe going to fall apart. Like that I can get behind designer clothes in that sense for quality and for normal, like celebs I wear it once, but like normal people, if you invest in it, you get your money's worth, whatever. This, no, no, I just
No,
can't. I cannot.
you're not wrong. It is ridiculous, but it
Yeah.
gets more ridiculous. So don't worry, because Aviva is like, so Aviva's there, Carol's there, Jacques and Luann are there, and they have a lovely booth table and they're sitting around talking. And Aviva's like, which two people here got married at like Le Cirque? And then she's looking at some, who does she look at? I think it was it Ramona,
Luann or
Luann
Sonia?
or someone? And it was Sonia, I think. And Sonia's like, I didn't get married here. And Aviva was like, oh, well, it was just me. And we find out that Reed says that the father of my oldest son, Harry, married Aviva here. Like, I thought it was very interesting the way that Reed made sure to say that it's like his child's father.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and Ramona just jumps back in this same fight that happened last time where she's just like, why are we talking about Harry?
I mean, I do agree. It's like you had to tell everyone this. That would make me feel uncomfortable. I'd be like, oh, this is where you married your first husband. I
But
would
Jacques
feel,
makes it lighter because he's like, they're talking about how everyone slept with Harry, and Jacques like, all right, fine, I slept with Harry too.
yeah, yeah.
It's like, man, Jacques was such a delight.
Then we get to, I don't even know, just the Luann that I try to forget exists, but I know exists and
Yeah.
rears its head from time to time. And I don't remember who brought it up at the table.
I don't know. I really didn't follow because it was very quick and it was just,
I think
maybe
Sonia said something that she describes Luann as Aboriginal.
yes.
And we should put into context. We're
But
just going to
none of
discuss
them
what was
use
said.
the word Aboriginal correctly. They're like Aborigine,
Yeah.
Aborigine, like it's
And then Luann says, no, I'm Native Indian.
and Carol is very quick to be like, no, ma'am, you are not. It is not called that. You are a Native American. And like Lou is like her argument's so bad. Like you don't really even see her argue at the table except for her saying like that's what we're called. But then she like in her confessional is like, then what's the American Indian Museum in DC doing? And everyone's like at home is being wrong.
Yeah. And then they're still also trying to explain to her the Aborigines is, I believe, the term used for Canadian and Australian, we don't use that term in America.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
But
just,
I think she is Canadian
well,
native.
then she starts saying that there's Native Americans in Canada, and it's
Oh yeah.
just the
Yeah.
whole conversation. And Carol is just like, she's just not having it with this conversation. The worst thing that Luann says is, careful for your scalp, baby.
Yeah.
And then
And
she
then
does the chant, which I certainly will not do.
no, ma'am. But she does it in the middle of fucking with Sark. And she is loud and proud with it, and it is so cringeworthy. It is
It's
so
just,
cringeworthy.
if that is your culture, it reminds me of in Seinfeld, where it's like he makes the dentist joke and he's like, only dentists can make the jokes.
Yes.
And part of me, but I guess I just don't understand Lou's actual connection to it. And
She claims that her father is connected, like, through her lineage. But either way, I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
part
know either.
Czechoslovakian. I don't know if I'm Czech or Slovakian, but I'm not going to start talking about that,
Yeah, it feels like someone who didn't grow up with it as actually part of their culture, then trying to like connect to it and make jokes about it. And that just feels icky.
Yeah. There's a lot of problems with it. But we then go to Mario at the Cirque pulling Jacques aside and being like, hey, don't come for my wife's career and livelihood, which is a stretch because it was just a wine tasting. And Jacques was very much like, it really wasn't about the wine. It was about the experience of tasting it and like the whole way that we were doing it. And Mario's not having it.
Yeah, and Ramon is actually trying to shut Mario down because
Yeah.
she doesn't want to fight with Luann about this. She is standing her ground that she's not going to be upset about this and not fight with her. They also bring out the wine, the $1,400 wine, and I noticed they literally all have like the smallest amount in their glass because you have to share this bottle amongst
Yeah,
like
with
10
like,
people.
yeah, it,
And yeah, it just made me even sadder about this fancy wine. And Ramona does cop that she was trying to impress Jacques with her wine knowledge and bringing this bottle.
man, that's sad.
Agreed. The only other thing about this table, and this is so random that I thought of, it was kind of a small table and they were in the corner. And I am just fascinated that they can have cameras at multiple angles, but somehow not get the cameras in the shot, but get everyone around a circular table. I'd
So
love to know
very,
the logistics.
I was about to say, I was like, it's very choreographed logistics and a
Oh, for
lot of
sure. But it
setup.
just like when I was thinking, like normally, they'll have them at a circular table, but they'll have them set up all to kind of be at one side. This was a tiny table, and I was like, damn, it is so impressive that you don't see any lights, cameras, nothing. And they were
That
able to
dinner was
film it.
probably at like 3 p.m.
It was pretty crowded in there, actually.
I mean,
It could have been 3 o'clock
yeah.
still, but yeah,
I was like, you can also get the production to sit in the background.
yeah, yeah.
You're like, here, you get your crew meal.
Um, then I literally took no notes on this part. Aviva and Harry hang out.
Oh, yeah. I first of all, Harrison looks just like Harry. His
I
son
wonder,
looks
is
just like
Harry's
him.
name Harrison also?
I
Or is
don't
he
know,
Harold?
but Aviva says that she married him after a breakup and he was nice and charming and offers his son a lot. He was a real estate he's made his money in real estate, but they meet him at an animation studio because he's created a cartoon pig, Poopy the pig. Found like did a search for that. Everyone on Reddit was basically just like nothing ever came of it and it was creepy. So
In
I
the
don't
mind
know.
of like a 12-year-old boy. Where do we expect anything less?
No. And like the big thing is that like the butt of the pig swings back and forth. That's it feels very like old school Nickelodeon kind of animation.
Yeah, it was Ren and
And
Stimpy vibes.
Stimpy-ish. Yeah. Um I think the animation studio that they're at might have even been behind Ren and Stimpy. Because it was a famous animation studio. I don't
Yeah.
remember the name right now though. That would be helpful. Sorry guys. Then we go to Lou and Sonia, and this is where I really was like, I don't care about this. The only thing that was really interesting was Sonia talks about how at the end of her marriage, she, and I'm so sorry to even talk about it, but like she had a miscarriage.
Yeah, especially in the fourth month, she said, which is
That's
farther
really, really
along.
devastating. And going through a divorce, like, or like being at the end of the marriage, I just, that's a part of it that I did not really remember or pick up on.
No.
And that explains volumes to me.
Yeah, it was really sad. She said like that was my little boy or something like that. And it was just really, really sad. And the reason this
Yeah.
comes up is because Luann asked Sonia, what does she think about having a baby? And Sonia is actually very tuned in and asking very pointed questions.
Hmm.
And I very much like this clear Sonia. She's like saying, is this a deal breaker for Jacques? Do you even want to have a kid?
Hmm.
Um, like she's not just saying to Luann, like, yeah, sounds great. Like she's really trying to pry.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing she says is Sonia says, Luann says something like, could you picture me with like in the Baby Bjorn, which Baby Bjorn is a company that make a lot of different stuff. I don't know if they were discussing like the carrier.
Papoose kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have a chair that we use all the time. And Sonia says that could be the chicest thing I've ever seen, or a woman on the verge of a breakdown. And to me, I was like, well, that just classifies motherhood. So I just thought it was such a good line. I really, really like that line.
I'm glad you wrote that down. I missed that one.
Yeah, it was just it was like right at the end of their lunch, and I just was like, isn't that every moment of being a parent? So, as far as I've learned in my 5 months of doing it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Heather and Sonia are our next scene, and this is part two, and this time Heather brings Lou, and it's really like
It
not
just
clear
gets
why.
worse.
Because Lou is like in Heather's showroom, like playing with jewelry, and like literally looks like if you like brought your kid to work day. Like Lou is not there to have any business mindset. She's literally just there to be like, yeah, I'll agree with you, Heather, whatever.
James is there again, and when Lou comes over to the table, he goes, "Oh, another lunch friend." Like he is like, "What the hell did Heather
That's
sign me
gotta
up
be
for?"
a reference for the ladies of lunch.
Oh,
Ladies at
definitely,
lunch.
definitely. And it's the same disaster and spinning in circles of discussing the same thing. And to me, Heather's absolutely correct in every single piece of advice she's giving Sonia, and Sonia just needs to listen and follow what Heather's saying, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Sonia's just really, again, not doing herself any favors. She's like, James was like, your friend didn't really offer a lot. And like, Sonia's just like, sorry if my friend doesn't turn you on. You're professionals and it's your job to have the answers, which, uh, like, Sonia keeps going on this diatribe of what professionals should do. And it's very like Romeo and Michelle's, like, do you have the business ladies lunch discount? Like, it's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I know business. Look at me in my business look. I've got my hair in a business hairstyle.
Yeah, it's a disaster again. It's getting nowhere, and Heather is like, I'm trying to help her. And again, she's that's where she uses the client term, and Heather's like, client, you're not paying me. Like, which I actually wrote in my note. I was like, I wonder, is she paying these other people, or did this guy James, did she just like rope him in and was like, you'll be on TV?
I'm sure the free press was fine, but I think it was also like, hey, you're my friend, be on the show. Like, everybody who's on the show gets a boost. This guy was already doing well. Sonia at one point is like, do you tell Harry Winston not like what to choose one? And he's like, fuck yeah, I do. Like, he's like, of course we do. That's what you have to do. You have to choose one thing. Um, and it's just Jane, like, Heather is trying to absolve the business relationship, and Sonia is still trying to mend the fence. And Heather keeps
Hmm.
telling us, like, I'm trying to break up with a bad boyfriend. Like, that's what it feels like. I'm like middle school boyfriend, but I'm like, you're kind of sucky at it.
Yeah, yeah. It's
She's not doing a good job of saying, like, I don't want to work with you anymore. She's like, no, Sonia, you're great. Like, I'm like, you can't give compliments during a breakup. Like,
yeah,
you just got to pull off that band-aid, Heather.
it's not good. Um, it doesn't end well, and still indecisive of what is to come of Sonia and the toaster.
I mean, they basically are like, fine, Sonia, you can get your way, and we're gonna still do this shoot. You can be in the photo. Like, they basically concede to her. And she's like, see, you see, I'm right. And they're just kind of like, no, we just don't want to argue anymore. And I've
Yeah.
been in this room a million times where you're like,
Hmm.
yeah, sure, let's do that idea that I know is horrible.
I know. It's so bad. Then we get a quick little like moment of Carol and Trip. Uh,
Co-dog daddy in future life trip.
yes, and literally like nothing happens in the scene except we learn Carol takes her coffee with two Splenda and milk, and it just made me remember how I was a Splenda person for so long and fearful of sugar.
I was not, I was either real sugar, I would take it light and sweet like all through college. And then I mean, all through high school. And then in college, I started working at Starbucks, and that's when I started taking it black.
Yeah,
Like,
Splenda just, it really had its moment, and it just kind of reminded me of that. Now I'm
oh
like
yeah, it was
so
such
grossed out by it.
everyone.
Yeah.
I don't think you can find Splenda anymore. Remember Sweet and Low? God, Sweet and Low was everywhere too.
Equal.
Yeah,
They're
all
all still out there,
prevalent.
but you know what it is because people like got that's the one they like, so and then they use that forever.
Yep. Yeah,
But
no, I like cinnamon in my coffee, if anyone was wondering.
oh, I
I like my coffee cold. I don't believe in hot coffee.
really, I mean, I love an iced coffee, but I chug it, so it's like I can't do it too often, or it has to be like the second coffee of the day. I love in the summer an iced coffee after like the beach from Dunkin' is a
Ooh.
fave. That's like a real treat.
No, my joke is always I tell doctors that I only have one cup of coffee a day, but it's like one 24-ounce cup of cold brew like, to my face.
Nope,
Um,
I love a almond milk caramel creamer. I like the flavored creamers.
I'm nah,
But I mean,
no.
I do half and half. Like if I'm out, it's half and half in sugar.
If I'm feeling crazy, I like it with some ice cream or some whipped cream. And my go-to like fancy Starbucks drink is a caramel macchiato iced. If it's made correctly, it's phenomenal.
I like the iced brown sugar uh
Ooh,
espresso latte or whatever.
the shaken
I'm not a
espresso sounds
Starbucks
good.
person, so I feel like I never know what to get, and I just always get whatever's like the new special
That's
because I
the
don't
fun
go
of
that often.
Starbucks. They also brainwashed me, so that's why I say all that. Not paid, just brainwashed.
So we go to Luann is hosting a life and style party, a holiday party.
Yeah, she sure is. And it's actually a nice party because the it benefits a coat drive basically, and everyone's donating a coat in order to go. So I thought that was really lovely. Um, Lou and Ramona go back and forth about the wine again. Ramona's the first one there, and Lou gives her Santa ears, which are kind of fun. Uh, it's very like Christmassy, but the big thing, unless you have anything, was
No,
the
the only thing in the Ramona and Lou, it's like a kind of semi fight, but not really, because again, they're like in this weird truce where they're not going to fight.
Mhm.
Ramona says, "I'm holding the fifth," rather
Oh
than "I
yeah.
plead the
And Lou's
fifth."
like, what the fuck does holding the fifth mean?
One of us know, that's for sure.
I mean, she's pleading the fifth. That's what she's
Yeah,
saying. She's not going to say anything to incriminate herself, but like it doesn't fit there at all.
no, indeed, it does not. And then before I think I know what part you're getting to, there are these three mohawked men that are trying to get
Yes.
into the
And
party,
Carol spots them. She's like,
and they're like, "We're the
what are they?
band," and everyone's like, "What?" And then they literally were the hired band for the night.
And I don't know who punked Lou with this band, but they were very punk rock, and they were like talking. Their Christmas songs had stuff about like fucking in the ass, and like it was just Lou and everyone was just like mortified except for Carol, who was like, "Oh, this is fun."
Yeah, it was
Carol likes to watch things burn.
especially Life and Style. Like, what? How did this get picked for this? But yes, the highlight or craziest moment of the episode is all the ladies are sitting around and Jacques is with them. And Sonia kind of loses her ish.
Did
And
I miss this
she,
part?
did you miss this part?
I don't know. Tell me. Like
Oh,
the
where
rest I have
Sonia,
punk rock band.
no, Sonia is crying and she's saying to Jacques that she doesn't believe he's in it for the long haul and she doesn't want to see Luann hurt.
Oh shit.
You missed that? Oh man, that's right at the end. And she's just like, she's saying like, if be a man of your word, and if you aren't serious, get out now. That's what she says to Jacques. But she's like drunk and crying while she's saying it.
Yeah, I think she's really just living out the sadness in her life, and
Oh, for sure. But it's like very intense, and it will be interesting to see how Lou, handles it because they all kind of handle Sonia with kid gloves.
yeah,
Um, and then also the ladies all get up and sing together. Did you miss that part as well?
I guess so. I heard them talk. They talked about doing Jingle Bells. I thought it was a joke.
Nope, they got up and
How I missed
sang.
it. I I just blacked out at the end, I guess, or was
Maybe it happens.
playing my word games or something. But no, it was a solid episode. I hope we move on from these fights though.
I think we will. We
Uh,
know New York moves on pretty quickly.
yeah, we're going on vacation soon with everybody. That'll be fun.
The pirate.
And speaking of vacations and Pyra,
Yes, Real Housewives Legacy airs this week on Thursday.
we haven't figured out the recapping of it,
I
but
think it's because
we
I
will.
need to see, is it going to come out weekly or is they going to release a bunch at once?
Haven't really done enough research on that to
I
tell
don't
you.
think we know until the 14th. So,
I think they're releasing three and then it's weekly,
all
but
right.
we'll figure it out and we'll report back to you. Um, Probably following Brands by Bravo already, but I'm at the Funk and we'll post on our Instagrams and whatnot when we get there. The only other thing I wanted to say was the Vanderpump trailer
Oh my God. Yes.
dropped,
Yes.
and it's 2.5 minutes of greatness. And I don't care if people think it's going to be a boring season. I fucking love this cast.
I love this cast. And Even their worst season, I still powered through. So as if I'm ever going to give up on it now. Yeah, right. Like the season when they tried to introduce like all new people, that was their worst one ever. And I still
Yeah.
watched all of it every week. So of course I will be tuning in. There's not a chance this is going to be a flop of a season. There's no way.
There's two things that came from it that I've seen that were very controversial. One is Katie and Schwartz are like both interested in the same girl, and everyone's like, "What's Katie doing?" And I'm like, "Why does everyone forget that Katie has come out as bi, like in the show on What Could
Multiple
Happen?"
times.
Like, I'm
I
just
don't know
like,
if
"Am I
she's
the
said the
only
word
one
bi, but
who?"
she's certainly said she's dated
And
women and been with women.
I feel like she has said that. Like, I'm just like, she's just made it very clear that her sexuality is fluid, and I'm like, am I the one paying attention to what Katie's
No.
saying?
I know all of the women actually have swam in the lady pond, as Andy says. It's not my term, but I know for a fact there was like a Watch What Happens Live that they were all on, and they all, I think even Sheena, I think the only one was Stassi who hasn't.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I because then she made a joke actually of like, why won't anyone offer to go down on me? Something like that. I remember that she made that joke, but yeah,
That is a very Stassi joke. Jax is back, which is very exciting.
yeah, we knew that that was happening.
It's gonna be for a second, but I love his coked out face screaming at Lisa, and Lisa just always never matching his energy. I like somebody wrote in the comments that they're like, he's even dressed for his shift at Sir, and
Yep.
I died laughing.
My favorite line was the worm is worming. That was
That was great.
hilarious.
Ariana looks amazing. So the last thing that is in the trailer that everyone's buzzing about is Lala's like, she gets cheated on and all of a sudden she's fucking God. I feel like that's going to be taken out of context because I listen to Give Them Lala every week and I just refuse to believe that Lala is putting her down. And like a lot of people are like, she's saying She Speaks Bravo was talking about it. I was watching her on TikTok being like, she's kind of saying what we've all been thinking, but I just can't picture Lala being jealous of Ariana
Yeah,
just
and
because Lala's gotten a house out of it, you know? Like,
yeah, I also feel like I saw a great comment and it was like, what did they want Ariana to do? Say no to money and opportunities? They come your way, you say yes.
but like I just feel like that's so Lala's brand that I feel like it's going to be followed by like, yes, bitch, or something like that.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I want to stick up for Lala Kent right now.
Oh, I love Lala. I wear my Send It to Daryl sweatshirt. I've always liked Lala. She's not always correct, but she's
No,
absolutely fantastic TV and she gets in the weeds and she talks about everything. And I'm sure there's a sense of bitterness of like, well, I got cheated on and this didn't happen for me, which I can understand, but I don't get people getting mad at Ariana for doing things when it's like Lay's wants to give you money, do this. Who wouldn't say yes to literally every single opportunity that you're given?
I'm just really interested to see the context because I just don't see Lala being in a situation where she would act like that, especially since she's sober now. Like, I just feel like it's just so far away of her. Like, she just doesn't seem like somebody who's counting somebody else's eggs. I feel like she's always like, how do I get my money? How do I get my next Lala like line of like my beauty care, my Send It to Daryl, like,
Yeah, and to me, it's like you have to have an understanding that when Ariana succeeds, we all succeed because she
yeah.
brings in viewers, she brings in people, and that will lead, like, to me, it's always like when people in your same genre are doing well, don't think of it as competition. You have to think of it as, well, if they can do it, that means we can do it or
Yeah.
something. That's how she should look at it. Like, look at her opportunities. I'm on the same show. Look at the door she's opened. No one would have thought someone from our show would be Roxy on Broadway, like,
Yeah. And I just feel like I just don't, I'm very interested to see that context because I feel like everyone's very quick to be like, that's what, like, she's being bitter. And I'm like, I feel like there's a second part to that sentence that is going to turn it around. So don't let me down, Lala.
we will find out. That's for sure.
We're going to watch what happens. We'll see what happens.
Always.
Always. Well, everyone, if you're looking for a Christmas gift for the bibas in your life or people who like to have children's books, don't forget to look up what is it called again?
H is for Housewives, the ABCs of Bravo.
Ages for Housewives, the ABC of Bravo. It's such a good book. I love it. When you sent me it, I died laughing. So
Thank you. I giggled the entire time making it, and I always find if something makes me laugh, then I hope that it makes everyone else laugh. And people have left such good comments of like, "Oh, is this letter for that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that would have been good." So now I'm like, "Ugh, because I have to make a part two." Now, actually,
yes.
I'll tell you offline my next idea that I thought was pretty funny.
Ooh, guys, you have to stay tuned. Gang, thank you for listening. We love you so much. Hope your holiday season's merry and bright, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.